A gold ring surfaces from the earth in Jerusalem, 2,300 years of silence. But the strangest part isn't the ring. It's the fact that it isn't the first one. Dirt passes through the sieve. Small stones, dust, fragments that at first glance seem to say nothing. Until something different appears in Ben's hand in the middle of the dig. It's small enough to look modern. Maybe it got there recently. Maybe it has no history to tell at all. But look closer. It's a ring. Gold wrapped around a small red stone. And that ring isn't modern. It's roughly 2,300 years old. It emerged from an archaeological context in the city of David in Jerusalem from the early Hellenistic period. Suddenly, the question changes completely. How did a piece of jewelry like this end up in that soil? It might be possible to imagine a casual loss, a small object, a single accident in an ancient city. Except there was a problem with that explanation. That wasn't the first ring. Less than a year earlier, at the same excavation, another nearly identical gold ring had already turned up. Two small rings, separated by more than 2 millennia of silence, found in the same place. And at that moment, the story stopped being just about one ancient piece of jewelry, because there was more hidden there. Not far from that context, other objects began to surface. First, bronze earrings, then a piece harder to ignore, a gold earring shaped like a horned animal, and a decorated gold bead on its own in the dirt. Little by little, what looked like a string of unrelated finds began to form a set. According to archaeologist Efrat Bocher, this would be the most significant concentration of Hellenistic gold jewelry ever found in the city. And that shifts the question again. It's no longer enough to ask who lost a ring. The question becomes, who in Jerusalem owned objects like these 2,300 years ago, Biles? The first clue is in the jewelry's own appearance. Gold combined with colored stones didn't exist in isolation from its time. It was part of Hellenistic jewelry trends. And following those trends means looking well beyond the limits of Jerusalem. After Alexander's conquests, styles and influences circulated across an extraordinarily wide world, from the eastern Mediterranean all the way to Persia and India. A fashion could travel, a style could cross entire regions. That means the small ring found in the dirt isn't just about wealth. It reveals something subtler about the person who wore it. 2 rings, a bronze earring, a gold earring, a decorated bead, objects small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. But together, they start pointing to something much bigger, Jerusalem itself. Part of the archaeological research had been reading this Jerusalem as a relatively small city with limited resources, a place without much luxury to show the world. Now look again at what was coming out of the ground. Not 1 ring, 2, other jewelry, gold, prestige objects, aligned with the trends of a much wider Hellenistic world. This doesn't prove that all of Jerusalem was wealthy. The findings don't support that conclusion. But they prove something that matters. There were people there with access to prestige goods, following the fashions of their time, connected to a world beyond the city itself. There were people in that city with access to prestige goods, people following the fashions of their time, people whose personal belongings reveal cultural connections that reached beyond the limits of Jerusalem. The archaeological context offers one more clue. The jewelry was associated with a layer linked to the foundations of a large structure. And the second ring adds a particularly intimate detail. Its size is small enough to have belonged to a child or a young person. Researcher Marion Zindel considers the possibility that this jewelry was deliberately deposited, not accidentally lost. The idea is tied to a Hellenistic world practice. Women promised in marriage burying jewelry and childhood objects in the foundations of the house, a kind of silent farewell to a stage of life. But there's a line we can't cross. We can't turn a possibility into a certainty. We don't know who wore that ring. We don't know their age. We don't know their gender. We don't know their name. Archaeology brings us close to that life, but not close enough to recover it in full. And maybe that's what makes the ring so human. On their own, each piece says very little. Together, the 2 rings, the other jewelry, the gold, the Hellenistic trends, they rebuild a world. At the start, it looked like we'd found just one ancient piece of jewelry. Now we're looking at evidence of how some people in that city lived, what they owned, the styles they knew, the cultural world they were connected to. Now we can go back to the sieve, to the dirt, to that small, unexpected glint. The ring is still the same size, the red stone in the same place. The gold hasn't changed since the moment we first saw it. But what we're looking at isn't the same thing anymore, because now there's an entire city behind it. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to Rediscovered Secrets and turn on notifications. We don't know who she was. We don't know how she lived. And we may never know why the ring stayed in that spot. Even so, something made it through all that time. A small circle of gold, a red stone, an object that fits inside a hand. Sometimes that's how someone returns to history, not through their own name, but through something their hands once touched. And beneath a city as old as Jerusalem, one question remains that no excavation has ever closed. How many other lives are still down there waiting under the earth?